The Second Amendment, the amendment that guarantees the right to bear arms. This amendment is important in protecting the feelings of security and safety of the United States citizens, but is not all-powerful and needs to be limited and kept in check to keep gun violence from becoming out of hand. The Second Amendment was passed as part of the Bill of Rights, a series of 10 amendments that were added to the end of the Constitution to get it ratified by the Anti-Federalists. These amendments were then added to ensure the rights of citizens would be guarded against a stronger central government. James Madison wanted to reassure the Southern states that Congress would not undermine the slave system by disarming the militia, which then became the basis of slave control throughout the South. Madison made and passed the final draft of the Second Amendment on December 15, 1791. He wanted to make people feel that they were secure and safe in this country. The final draft states, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." In modern day, this quote creates some controversy as some believe that it means that they have the right to own any guns they want, while others believe that federal and state governments should have the ability to place limitations on this right and guns one can own. In 1791, guns were used exclusively in the militia and for protection, making it hard to interpret the reach of the Second Amendment as Madison intended it today.
The Constitution gives the federal government limited control over guns. The United States passed the Gun-Free School Zones Act. United States v. Lopez ruled that the Gun-Free School Zones Act was not constitutional under the Commerce Clause. The Gun-Free School Zones Act was reworded to incorporate interstate commerce and is still standing. The federal government must go through a lot of trouble to make sure that gun legislation is within their constitutional control, and most gun laws are left up to the states because of this. To make government management even harder, the T-Hart amendments force a mandatory 24-hour destruction of gun purchaser records. This makes gun retrieval from people who have become ineligible who have guns extremely challenging because the FBI is required to destroy all records of gun purchases within 24 hours. The federal government passed the Gun Control Act in 1968, which says that all retailers of firearms must be federally licensed. The Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993 was passed, which requires all federally licensed gun retailers to perform background checks through either the FBI or a state-level agency before the sale of any firearm. It also increases the cost of a firearm business license and makes sale of firearms more complex.
In Massachusetts, you are required to have a license to own a firearm. License class categories depend on what gun you would like to acquire. The application process, fees, and renewals for people 15 years or older require a license to possess firearms. For training requirements, you must take certified firearms safety courses and basic hunter education courses. To transport firearms in vehicles, you must carry a loaded or unloaded weapon if you have a valid gun license and you are engaged in hunting. To store firearms at your home, guns must be locked in a storage container, and it is recommended to be unloaded but not necessary, and a concealed weapons permit is required.
Guns are a necessary form of protection and are a guaranteed constitutional right of the people in order to feel safe in the country they live in. People say that stricter gun laws make things less safe, but creating stricter restrictions on gun laws will make gun violence less possible and therefore make things much safer. Both the federal and state governments have made steps to limit gun ownership and access, though the state governments have the easier ability to do so. The federal government does not have many enumerated powers giving them control over guns and must tiptoe around clauses like the Commerce Clause in order to get gun legislation passed. The laws of state governments differ depending on regional opinions, but thankfully here in Massachusetts our gun laws are more strict than others. Stricter gun laws promote a safer country and are necessary to keep our people safe. Instead of having unlimited gun access to protect ourselves from a potential attack, we need to make the attack harder to occur in the first place.
Created using Powtoon.